Hey baseball fans, how's it going? It's Hayden here, and in today's video I will be going over some news with the New York Mets. So, let's get right into it. So, the Mets are not finished with their offseason moves just yet. If the Mets want to solidify the NL East, and who knows, even the division, I think the Mets will have to make a couple more moves. One of these moves even could be calling the Pittsburgh Pirates to look into a trade with pitcher Joe Musgrove. Also to add, the Mets have expressed numerous times the desire for flexibility within their payroll, with an estimated $28 million in cap space before crossing the luxury tax line. So, signing Springer or Bauer doesn't give them quite a ton of flexibility if the goal is to stay below the tax threshold. So right now, the Mets have more depth to brag about in their starting lineup rather than their starting rotation. And if a Mets fan such as I has learned anything in the past few years, it is simply starting pitching is very important due to injuries. So the Mets need to keep both the offense and defense strong. And as so many Mets fans like myself can agree, pitching wins championships. So this brings us to the topic of the day. Joe Musgrove, the 28-year-old right-handed pitcher. So, the Pittsburgh Pirates have informed many sources that they were listening and conversing about the pitcher to many teams over the past couple weeks and months, some being the Mets, Twins, Angels, Astros, and some other teams. After Pittsburgh has traded away all-star caliber Cy Young pitcher Garrett Cole to the Houston Astros, in return getting Joe Musgrove, which was a big slap on the face for them, and right now the Pirates are in a complete rebuild mode. But looking into 2020, Joe Musgrove had a very solid season if you ask me. He had 1 win and 5 losses, but think about it. Wins, we're Mets fans, we know that wins and losses are not really a big thing to count. And especially, he was on a team that didn't have strong bats, so they couldn't give him defensive runs. Come on, we're Mets fans. We could talk about with Jacob deGrom all day. He also had a 3.86 ERA, pretty solid, 39 innings pitched, 55 strikeouts, an FIP of 3.19, 12.48 Ks per 9 innings, and a whip of 1.235. So having these stats on a terrible team is pretty good. So imagine what these could look like on a team with the Mets. And I'm sure, like I said, Mets fans, we're very familiar with this. What's more of the issue is that Joe Musgrove is owned only $375 million this offseason, and then is arbitration eligible by next year. This is actually a very similar thing that has happened with the Mets and the Toronto Blue Jays in 2019, when the Mets traded to obtain pitcher Marcus Stroman at the 2019 trade deadline. But of course, I think this will be much different, and Musgrove would probably get 2 years compared to 1. I think a potential starting 2021 rotation could look like deGrom, Stroman, Carrasco, Musgrove, and Peterson. If you ask me, this is a pretty solid, strong rotation. The only issue is, what would happen when Syndergaard returns? Would you bump down Musgrove to the 5th spot and then put Peterson in the bullpen? But you know what? It's better to be safe and packed than sorry. Going on to who the Mets will trade, it wouldn't cost that much, as Joe Musgrove isn't quite an all-star caliber pitcher. He's just an average pitcher. Adequate enough, so that should be good for a 5th or 4th end starter. So the good news is that the Mets wouldn't have to give up so many people if this trade were to happen, and they can keep their farm system nice and strong. But please, Mets fans, thank you for watching this video, and please let me know in the comments, do you think this trade is worth it or do you disagree? Till next time, baseball fans, see ya.